With damage caused by recent flood rains, we here at the JIS are urging you to continue to exercise caution as you traverse the nation's roadways. Do not attempt to cross flooded streets which may be hiding deep potholes. Ensure that your children do not play in floodwaters as they may contain harmful bacteria. Keep your important documents in waterproof bags and always purify your water before you use it for drinking and cooking. It's your favorite half-hour magazine program with me, Audrey Williams, as your host. We have a lot lined up for you, so please stay with us.
Yo, this is We're committed to reducing the impact of disasters occurring in Jamaica. We're ever ready to assist you before, during and after a disaster. But everybody have a role to play, so make we work together and follow the plan. Whether rich or poor or where you come from, hurricanes affect everyone, so be prepared. Prevention is better than cure. Be prepared. Listen to OPM.
A message from the Office of Disaster Preparedness and Emergency Management.
Good day, I'm Stephen McHugh and this is your JIS News for Friday, November 24. Government has released $20 million in emergency relief funds to fast-track recovery efforts in Montego Bay, St. James. Immediate financing will come from the Ministry of Local Government and the Equalization Fund. On Wednesday, the second city was ravaged by 3.5 inches of rainfall in 4.5 hours, which flooded streets and damaged public and private infrastructure. Following a tour of affected areas, Prime Minister Andrew Holness said more money would be released in coming days.
We will have to make some allocations from the budget. Ministers indicated that there will be some emergency allocation. Recently in Parliament, I announced that there would be a program of patching. We will have to now, by virtue of this, take a second look at the supplementary estimates that we intended to table in Parliament next week, because this will call for some additional funding.
Mr. Holness also revealed that government was looking at re-engineering current structures to mitigate flood damage. The government has signed a $15 million loan agreement with the Japan International Cooperation Agency JICA for the implementation of the Energy Management and Efficiency Program. During Thursday's signing, Finance Minister Audley Shaw said the money was the second portion of a joint loan of $30 million for the rollout of the program. Government received $15 million from the Inter-American Development Bank in early November, and the European Union is providing another $10 million for the program, which will be executed over 8 years.
This aims at bolstering the government's efforts in the areas of energy efficiency and conservation through the design and implementation of measures targeting key government facilities, as well as fuel conservation in road transportation to reduce the demand for fuel imports.
The Energy Efficiency Program is being executed by the Petroleum Corporation of Jamaica and consists of 3 components. The first being the retrofitting of the health and education departments along with other public agencies. The second component is the implementation of an urban traffic management system in Kingston, while the third component will focus on providing the Ministry of Science, Energy and Technology with additional expertise. The Ministry of Health says it continues to put measures in place to ensure that healthcare coverage continues with the least possible disruption in services, as registered nurses continued a second day of industrial action. The ministry says only 62% of registered nurses slated to work the morning shift on Thursday were present at their respective duty stations in hospitals island-wide. Hospitals in the Northeast Regional Health Authority were most affected, followed by those in the Western, Southern, and then Southeast Regional Health Authorities. The low turnout continued on Friday. The most affected hospitals were not able to conduct elective surgeries, only providing emergency services. There were no reported absences for nurses in primary care facilities. The Health Ministry says it's coordinating with the regional health authorities to manage coverage at the affected facilities. More than $7 million is being spent to renovate the Kingsvale Police Station in Hanover. Local Government Minister Desmond McKenzie says the project is being undertaken as part of activities in observance of Local Government Month in November.
The theme of Local Government Month speaks about securing safe and better communities. And we decided to enhance the theme by taking on a police station in a very deep, dense, rural community. And we chose this one to signal what the community involvement with the Ministry of Local Government and the security force is all about.
Planned improvements include repairs to the kitchen, painting of the building, installation of new fixtures, tiling of the bathroom, and installation of a generator and a 1,000-gallon water tank. The recreational area will also be furnished with a couch and television set. Minister McKenzie also announced that the roads leading to the police station and the holding area for prisoners would be repaired as part of the overall project, which is expected to be completed by the first week in December. And finally, the Statistical Institute of Jamaica, Statin, is reporting that a record 1.2 million plus persons were employed as at July 2017. Director General of the Planning Institute of Jamaica, PIOJ, Dr. Wayne Henry, says the figure in Statin's labor force survey represents an increase of over 29,000 persons relative to July 2016. This is the highest employment ever recorded for a single month. Dr. Henry says the overall labor force rose by 8,000 persons to more than 1.3 million.
This outturn in the number of employed persons continues the trend of establishing record levels of employment observed since mid-2016.
He announced the figures at the PIOJ's recent quarterly media briefing. An examination of the employed labor force by industry groups revealed that 11 of the 16 categories recorded higher employment levels. The largest increases were in hotels and restaurants, financial intermediation, and wholesale and retail repair of motor vehicles and equipment. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Stephen McHugh. Thanks for watching.
Pesticides, the good, the bad, and how to ensure it never gets ugly. Get some safety tips next.
Pest control practices using hazardous substances require us to take necessary safety precautions to protect our health. Any misguided idea as to the danger that can result from toxic pesticides must be dismissed from our minds, as we can be caught off guard by the lengthy period that might elapse before any signs of illness sets in. At the level of government, the Pesticides Control Authority (PCA) is the entity enforcing the necessary safeguards by regulating importation, manufacturing, sale, and use of pesticides.
The issue of pesticides usage poses several benefits to our society, but also can pose several challenges also, because for every positive that it represents in terms of controlling adverse conditionalities, it also, if used improperly, can lead to challenges within the environment and also affect the citizens, the persons who use or persons who are exposed.
The Pesticides Control Authority partners with local and international bodies to fulfill its regulatory functions. That includes establishing the conditions under which these substances can be safely administered.
Our website, www.caribpesticides.net, has a list of all registered products, and each month the board of the Pesticides Control Authority considers new products, and when they are approved, they are added each month to that website list. And occasionally we will remove products that were previously registered, and that's a monthly process as well. In addition, the Pesticides Review Committee goes through and looks at the more toxic ones and decides whether to recommend to the board to phase them out or not.
We have 40 8% of products which are used in agriculture sector, which belongs to the class 4, which is least toxic products. On opposite end, the most toxic products, we have only 1.2% remaining in the system.
The most toxic pesticides are restricted and only authorized persons are allowed to use them, having been trained and certified by the authority. The PCA also certifies private applicators of pesticides, including farmers. Persons handling and applying pesticides are required to follow all the instructions on the label and must wear the designated safety gear. At hand at all times should be protective clothing, gloves, boots, and eyeglasses. Application should be done in a manner that limits human contact.
We have seen persons being poisoned, basically, because of adverse exposure. Take, for example, rodents and the substance that is used to get rid of rodents. If it's placed in the wrong place, it does affect those who are exposed to it. And in fact, the data that I've seen show that on average about 40 persons a year are affected adversely because of the inappropriate application of that particular pest control substance.
Pesticides approved by the PCA are more easily monitored to ensure health and safety, but those that are illegally concocted and made available commercially or imported pose significant risks for unsuspecting consumers.
The problem with these, as far as the persons buying it should be concerned, is they don't really know what they are getting. So for example, we have bought a rat bait that we saw being sold that is locally manufactured illegally. And when tested in the lab, there was nothing in there that could kill a rat. So the persons buying that product were only feeding the rats. The other problem we have is that there are illegal pesticides coming in through the ports, or through other avenues, I suppose. Biggest problem are the black mosquito coils. The problem with them is that we have not got any application to have them registered, so we don't really know how much of a health risk they are. But we have got some reports that especially children and people with respiratory problems have been affected. In fact, they are probably just too good. So they affect not only the mosquitoes and the flies, but the humans as well. Some of them contain active ingredients that we know that are a real problem, and even if an application came in to register them, we would not want to do so. Then there's some other things, such as this chalk, which a child would think is a regular piece of chalk that they see at their school. Then there are some things that are in plastic bottles. These are very common. Again, the wristbands, that's not a registered product.
Persons are also placed at high risk when products are removed from their original manufacturer's container and repackaged inappropriately.
And again, how does a person buying something like that know that what they are getting is the real thing?
Even within the household, it's a dangerous practice to transfer pesticides to things like soda bottles or plastic bags for storage.
Unfortunately, children in the home can get a hold of it. And children end up in hospital all the time because of that problem, particularly eating rat bait.
It has to be locked away and properly labeled. We also recommend to the farmers use very simple, inexpensive methods of storage. You don't need to be very, elaborate or fancy. You can use just maybe old shelf of refrigerator, or old filing cabinet, or just simply wooden box.
For its part, the Pesticides Control Authority regularly collects samples of local and imported agricultural foods to test for residual pesticide levels. Farmers are encouraged to do their own due diligence by first determining the percentage of pesticide to use and following the label instruction for things such as dilution rates and the correct time to spray. The PCA provides simplified information to help in this process.
We have done a mini survey to determine what possible practices the farmers are doing that could be causing the problem, and then we are going to be training them specifically in those.
Farmers can also minimize the use of pesticides by practicing biological and cultural control methods, such as barrier crops, sticky traps, and crop rotation. Whether for commercial use, on the farm, or in the home, make pesticide use a last resort. Or, failing that, make it a priority to handle pesticides safely, because the life saved could just be your own. For more information, you can visit the Pesticides Control Authority website at caribpesticides.net. You can also email pca@cwjamaica.com.
We have a subculture that supports those who do not inform, an anti-informer culture that pervades our entire society that we must break down.
Finding non-violent ways to resolve disputes is beneficial to the development and growth of our community and country at large. Before you fight it out, talk it out.
This is community justice. Residents who are standing up for peace and just actions, reclaiming Jamaica land we love.
The decent, law-abiding citizens of our country must now be more proactive and seek ways and means to overcome those who want to destroy Jamaica. Goodness must triumph over evil.
It's not a one-citizen thing, and it's not just a town thing. The Ministry of Justice is rallying the masses from country to town,
creating a national movement of decent and upright people to take back Jamaica and to return discipline and respect for the rule of law in this country.
Using a series of public sensitization sessions, the ministry is seeking to bring together peace monitors or justice leaders. Pastors, doctors, custodians, lawyers, teachers, and other positive community members are being trained in justice programs such as child abuse, domestic violence, human trafficking, mediation, restorative justice, and legal aid. Professionals within the justice system are on hand at the sessions, equipped to answer questions.
Victims who have been sexually abused, and I speak to the evidence. A young miss, she is impregnated by an adult, and the man leaves the area. This is in relation to soca. The man leaves the area when it's hot, and a year after, he's back in the area. What's the follow-up?
As it relates to teenage pregnancy, or persons who got pregnant below the age of 16, we don't just investigate and leave things hanging. We follow up. So if the person left the community, we're still after him. We try to find out where he is. If he comes back to the community, we go, we get him, we put him before the court.
Armed now with the knowledge of truth and justice, the community members will now help other citizens access justice services, resolve conflicts, and be productive members of society.
We're sending a signal to the Jamaican people, and in particular, all law-abiding and decent citizens of this country, to join us in the work that we are doing to safeguard the future of our country as we move towards a just, safe, and secure Jamaica.
I think the sensitization sessions, it's a great initiative of the Ministry of Justice. I think it teaches us now as citizens to have a greater responsibility, and it has opened our awareness. There are several activities that you can access through several services through the Justice Ministry. So it's not only limited to human trafficking. We have learned today of victim services. we have learned about legal aid services in addition to restorative justice. And key as well is that we have to access those who do not have access. So we now have to go into those remote locations. So it's not only to those internet users or social media, in other words, but it is just a great responsibility. I love the initiative, and it just makes you feel good to be a part of this great effort.
The project is being carried out through the Justice Undertakings for Social Transformation program. Already more than 200 persons have been trained. By year end, over 2,000 persons will be on the program. Peace, civility, good order and improved behavior in communities will be the fruits of this program.
This helps the problem from reaching to the court, where it takes a lot of time and a lot of pile-up that is being done today.
I think it's very good. It's commendable on the part of the ministry to have done this. Based organizations would be the best avenue to reach the population and to have people committing in their own space, in their own community, persons who are familiar with the situation and the culture and are willing to serve.
Justice, truth be ours forever cannot be achieved without community members.
The UNWTO will stage its first global conference in the Caribbean on partnerships for jobs and inclusive growth through sustainable tourism. It'll be at the Montego Bay Conference Center from November 27 to 29. Here's more.
157 countries will be represented, with scores of overseas participants. Government leaders, planners, policymakers, developers, and investors will converge. Where? On the second city for what is expected to be Jamaica's biggest yet tourism conference. The name of the conference is a mouthful. The UN World Tourism Organization, Government of Jamaica and World Bank Group, Global Conference and Partnerships for Jobs and Inclusive Growth through Sustainable Tourism. But it's important to remember this November 27 to 29 meeting because of what it represents. The conference is being held in commemoration of the UNWTO's International Year of Sustainable Tourism for Development. A historic occasion, as it marks the first time that the UNWTO will stage a global conference on tourism in the Caribbean or the Americas.
The single most important international event that we are ever going to do for tourism. It perhaps could very well be also the single most important event that we have done for Jamaica.
The event is shaping up to go way beyond the limits of a technical conference, but will be transactional and business-oriented. Participants will be engaged in plenary sessions and workshops on a range of subject matters. Some of the themes to be explored include economic development, financial management, job creation, and human capital development. The inclusion of the World Bank as a partner is expected to be a game changer, particularly in terms of how the conference is positioned. The World Bank provides a grand opportunity for international funders of tourism to meet with ministers, as well as private and public sector entities that have development projects and are able to access funding through these entities. So Jamaica will be the destination where several of these major sustainable tourism development transactions will take place. International development firm Caenwood International is also a partner in hosting the conference. With Caenwood on board, participants will have an opportunity to discuss and develop sound environmental solutions for tourism industry operators. Two of the expected deliverables from this conference will be an outcome declaration and the publication of the second UNWTO Affiliate Members Global Report on Public-Private Partnerships. Coming out of the conference, the UNWTO will also present a report to the UN General Assembly in 2018 with regards to the activities of the International Year of Sustainable Tourism for Development, of which the conference will play a major role. At the UNWTO, there have been much talk on the need for public-private partnerships. Still, there has been a failure to translate that on the ground in any effective manner. The conference will kickstart discussions for the creation of on-the-ground activities to develop tourism across the globe through partnerships. This is of significant importance to developing states such as Jamaica, who rely heavily on the economic power of tourism. Of deeper significance for Jamaica, especially the people of the West, is the creation of a Montego Bay Declaration. The declaration will be used as a roadmap to strengthen public-private partnerships and enhance donor funding and investor engagement. This will create the framework for more responsible, sustainable, and universally accessible tourism in the second city. The declaration will also address tourism leakages that are crippling the industry. So the established tourism linkages network is expected to play a greater role to combat the issue and allow the Jamaican people to benefit more from the sector. The conference is attracting many leaders from government, multilateral organizations, international financial agencies, non-governmental organizations, cruise lines, other tourism entities, and of course, Jamaican businesses such as small and medium tourism enterprises. Since the agreement was brokered in January for Jamaica to host the event, Minister Bartlett has been on a whirlwind promotional tour to garner support and attendance at the conference. In Africa, he was able to secure Ethiopian Airlines as the official carrier to take the continent's dignitaries to the conference. The industry's largest intelligence portal, which provides media, insights, and marketing data to thousands of tourism players, Skift.com, is also expected to be reporting from the conference, as Mr. Bartlett met with the agency's president, Caroline Kremins. He has also gone to Germany, Thailand, Dubai, the United Arab Emirates, and the United States of America. Jamaica stands ready to benefit from billions of dollars worth of free advertising by hosting this conference. The Multi-Sectoral Planning Committee is fired up to put on a wonderful conference to show the world why the land of wood and water is the cultural superstate.
Is also a first in the world for the United Nations World Tourism Organization, because it is the first time in any location that all the elements of tourism are going to converge to discuss sustainability issues, to discuss its future, and to celebrate on matters that will inure to the future development of world tourism.
Work to learn, earn, give back, and save for the future. That's the aim of the LEGS initiative of the HOPE program. So, if you are between the ages of 18 and 24 and you want an opportunity to better yourself, the HOPE program might just be for you. Visit moe.gov.jm or nysjamaica.org for more information. Thanks for spending time with us. Our proverb of the day is, you can't catch Kwaku, you catch him short. What does this mean? It is not always possible to get everything you want. Be satisfied with the little you have until you're able to get all you want. Remember to keep up to date with the latest government information by joining us online at jis.gov.jm or watch our programs on our YouTube channel. And be sure to check out our social media platforms. You may also catch a new edition of Jamaica Magazine tomorrow on this very station. Until then, I'm Audrey Williams. Take care.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.